today we'll be changing the front inner tube for the Razor Pocket Mod. What you're going to need is a 12.5 by 2.25 inch inner tube. And how do you find that out is you look on the tire itself. You should see a number here by another number. So in this case, it's 12.5 by 2.25. And this is a Schrader valve. So you want a inner tube that matches those numbers. That's also a Schrader valve. So here we have our new inner tube with the same type of valve. And this one's gonna have a 45-degree angle to it, which is gonna make it a little easier to put your tire pump on there, since it'll stick out to the side just a little bit as this one goes straight towards the hub. So it's a little bit harder to pump depending on what type of pump you have. To do this tire change, the proper tools would be a 15mm socket or a open end wrench, and then some tire levers. But not everyone has those tools, so we're gonna try to do it with some basic tools today, which is gonna be a adjustable crescent wrench and 2 flathead screwdrivers, which I think most people would have laying around the house. This is not ideal type of tools to use because this will cause a little bit of wear and damage to the wheel, but worst case scenario, if you do want to do it at home, you get away with doing it with these. So first thing we're going to do is get the Pocket Mod onto the rear kickstand here, or the center stand, and then we'll go ahead and take this crescent wrench, and you're going to go counterclockwise, so we'll get this tightened up as good as we can, nice and snug. Break that loose. And depending on where you live, the axle may be a little bit rusted, so you'll need to use the wrench a little bit more to back the nut off. So you want to just go as far as until you get this washer out. Get that out of the way, and then we'll go do the same to the other side. All right, now that we have both sides of the nut loose, we go ahead and lift the front end off, and then we get the wheel out of the way. So you are on the center stand here. So just lift the front enough, pull the wheel out, and then just lay the Pocket Mod back down lightly on the fork. So now here's the wheel. Most likely the inner tube is damaged already with a hole in it, and that's why we're replacing it. So go ahead and work your way around the tire here. Give it a squeeze, because on the rim here, there's a more shallow or a deeper side in the center of it. So then the idea is you want to get the tire itself into the center of the wheel, so then it's easier to pull off. So since this inner tube is already damaged, we don't have to really be too careful with this, but you do want to avoid when you do have a good inner tube, you want to avoid using these flatheads or improper tools, because you could actually pinch the inner tube and pop it if it's still good. So I'm gonna get in there with one flathead. Now I'll go about 2 to 3 inches over. And I'll get that second flathead in there. And when you're doing this, you want to be careful not to go too far in also, because there is a rim tape in the middle of it which protects the tube from the spokes. So just make sure that you're not hitting that when you're doing this. All right, now that we got the tire half off, you're not gonna have to fully remove it, so then we'll just push the tire to one side of the rim. and then reach in there on the open side, grab the inner tube and just pull it out. So now that you have the inner tube out, if you have gloves on, go ahead and run your fingers through the inside of the tire here to make sure that there's any thorns or nails still in there. And while you're at it, you want to inspect this rim strip here to make sure that it's still in one piece and that it covers all of the spokes. So for this wheel, I don't know if you could see it in there, but a little bit of that spoke nipple is showing through the side of the rim strip. So what you want to do is readjust that so then the spoke nipple is fully covered. So I'm just going to get in there with my pick to carefully lift this up without ripping the rim strip or poking it. And I'm just going to try to shift that rim strip over just a little bit. All right, once we get that sorted out, we'll get our new inner tube here. So now that we got the inner tube in and we seated it into the back of the tire so it's away from the side that we're going to be working on, I'm going to use some scooter tire levers just to show you the difference between using these versus a flathead screwdriver. So now this is where it's really important to be mindful of where the inner tube is, because you don't want to pinch it with your tire levers or else you're going to get a flat already. So the first thing you want to do is try to feed as much of the tire on as you can by hand, and then we'll finish it off with the tire levers. So now I'm going to stick my fingers in here to feel where the inner tube is, just to make sure that it's not riding on the edge of that rim. So then I'll get the first lever in here and I'll take a look inside to make sure that I'm not on the inner tube. Same thing with the second one. And these metal ones are nice because then you can actually feel if you're hitting the rim or not, and you want to feel that metal to metal contact.